Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Hope you are doing well. I am trying to log into Instagram as well. Looks like it is gone. And I'm live over Instagram as well. So welcome all you guys from Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all in the same place. So kind of a three for one deal. And today's show is about the CSS. And we're going to do some CSS critiques live, take some questions. I think we even have an underwater swim stroke to look at as well today, as well as um, talk about other stuff too. So, but for now, there's an article. In fact, I'm going to share this article now with you guys. This has every phase of the combat swimmer stroke um, from the pull, the kick, the glide, the kick off the wall, every phase of it right there. So check this out and um, read that. And there's links into it along with videos that can also help you see what I'm talking about. Whether it's a top arm pull that should look like a freestyle catch, a bottom arm pull that should look like a breaststroke skull, a kick that is either a scissor kick or a breaststroke kick. Those need to be in perfect timing as well. So there's a sequence to the combat side stroke that you also need to learn and practice because you can watch it all you want on video and hear me talk about it, but until you're in the water actually practicing it, it's not going to really make a big difference for you. Though I will tell you this, there have been many people who have made the trip over to see us here in Maryland where we swim and train, and they are largely self-taught. And if anything that I have to do as a coach is just clean it up just a little bit, maybe a very nitpicky timing issue, or maybe a second longer glide, just minor corrections. And next thing you know, they're swimming sub nine, pretty effectively. Especially if you add in that 50-50 workout that we do just to almost like a speed dial to get your swim time down, with an effective, quick 30 workout that you do 4 or 5 days a week. Next thing you know, you're swimming 8 minutes. But yeah, check that out. It's pretty important. In fact, this is pretty much everything I've ever written and coached and taught on the combat side stroke all in one article. So there you go. Here, first question looks like we got, hey Stu, is egg beater necessary to learn for buds? It is not. I did not know it until I was probably 3 years in the teams when one of my buddies was a water polo player and I was watching him tread and I was like, let me try to learn this. And picked it up and now I used it for the last 20 years and it's very effective. But what I do is I'm not a water polo player, so I'm not that good at it. If you really want to see good egg beater, just go talk to somebody who does water polo, um, or a breaststroke, because the egg beater is nothing more than an alternating breaststroke kick, and that's where a lot of people get it wrong. So the way I teach it is pretend you're kicking a soccer ball with the inside of your foot to the bottom of the pool. You're vertical, kicking, you get that leg up and you're pushing down with the inside of your foot, not the bottom of your foot, pushing water like you would a scissor kick. But to get through buds, I just used a scissor kick, quite frankly. I did a scissor kick left and a scissor kick right, scissor kick left, scissor kick right. So it looked like I literally was running. And for years, I've been teaching that, method as well, especially to non-swimming athletes, because you probably spent most of your athletic career, running like this, not moving like this, right? So swimming athletes do really well with the breaststroke, They use the egg beater very nicely. They're a little more mobile than the um, they're a little more mobile than the swimmers are a little more mobile than the non-swimming athletes, so it's a little bit easier for them to get into that position. So for my land athletes, I have been using the mobility treading combination, which has been really helpful for people to be able to even do an effective egg beater kick or breaststroke kick. In fact, read this article here. Um, your treading issues might be a mobility issue. So check that out. So it looks like we got a question over here on Instagram. Do heart palpitations disqualify people from spec ops? I don't know, to be honest with you. Um, there are many um, things that can disqualify you from spec ops, and I'm not the uh, military medicine guru. In fact, what I would suggest is check out this article I'm putting in the comment section. It's on military.com. It's titled Disqualifiers Medical Conditions. I think the actual that's the URL. The actual title is Medical Conditions That Keep You from Joining the Military. And it is a long list. In fact, I can go in here and find it with blood work, dental issues, ears, hearing, endocrine and metabolic issues, so hormonal issues, upper extremities, lower extremities, miscellaneous things from arthritis all the way to joint replacement, eyes. I mean, it is a long list. I would say if you're, I mean, it goes in depth. Head, neck, heart. Oh, here's a heart one. There's a whole section on heart and some types of arrhythmias, ventricle fibrillation, tachycardia, are occasional asymptomatic premature ventricular contractions are not disqualifying. See, I don't know what any of that means. So a military doctor is going to give you that answer. But um, yeah, you need to check that out. Sorry, it's above my pay grade on that one. All right, let's see. Any other questions? All right, so I don't have any questions. So let me try sharing my screen and we get over to the Instagram. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see it on Instagram as well. And let's see how this works. So we
Good
got
kickoff. Nice transition. I like that. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull.
So we got
test your glide.
top
This is
arm,
good too.
bottom arm, kick, 1
Mississippi,
Mississippi, 2
2
Mississippi, pull.
Good.
Timing's good. Solid
So,
kick, good glide.
There you go.
Probably
Turn with that
work
top
on his
arm.
streamline a little better with the
Keep your head down a
shoulder
little bit
mobility.
during that.
I think
See
that's
that
affecting
head pops
his
up a little bit.
perfect
Just keep your
angled
head down.
streamline.
No
If
need to
you
look
notice,
forward.
in fact,
Just look
I'll
at that
try to
black
stop
line.
it when he's in that position.
Top
You
arm,
notice,
bottom
like
arm.
right
1 Mississippi.
here, right? So it's not quite at a straight angle. I call this swimming like a banana. So if he was in open water, he would be swimming to the left a lot, facing this way. If he's on this way, he'd be swimming to the right a lot.
Mississippi, pull.
You
So
can still kind of
got
see it
test your
kinda on
glide.
his
but
belly
this is good
there,
too.
so that's all right.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull.
Yeah, just
Good,
needs to get those
good.
elbows and
So
shoulders a
there
little
you go.
more
Turn with
vertical,
that top arm.
straight over the head. And I think that will definitely help you,
Keep your
one,
head down a
swim
little bit
straighter
during that. See that head
and
pops up a little bit? Just keep your head down. No need to
take
look
out
forward.
any issues when you
Look
go
at that
open
black
water
line.
with fins.
Top arm, bottom
Usually
arm.
right now,
1
probably
Mississippi,
the
2
worst that will
Mississippi, pull.
happen is
Perfect.
halfway in a swim, you might
This has gotten really
swim
fast.
over to the left a little bit and bump
Pull.
into the
Boom.
lane
Damn.
line. But that you're constantly
Good
correcting
kickoff.
yourself because you're right on
Nice
top of that
transition.
black
I like
line.
that.
That's just something that happens naturally. So that's a good one. I like that one. Let me see what else we got. Uh, you guys got any questions in the meantime? Oh, got a question here. Do some of your guys you train with are ever overweight? Do they do the best they can, or most of your workouts extremely similar to all your books? Um, these, I mean, we it depends. I mean, we most of the guys are not overweight and trying to lose 100 pounds. However, we have had people do that. We've actually had a guy who came in at 350 and got down to 200. Now, he was a great athlete, though. He was a super heavyweight jujitsu champion, and he um, dropped weight classes when he got down to 200 pounds. Now, it had a little bit to do with our workouts, but it had a lot to do with his eating habits more than anything. He's a little older too. He's like 40 years old. And but yeah. So yeah, we do have big guys come out and do the workout. A lot of them are former football players that may be like linemen or heavy uh, linebacker types positions where they're probably 250 to 280, somewhere in that zone, post college career, and they got to get down to closer to 200 pounds. But they have a foundation of strength that enables them to handle that weight a little bit easier than someone who's just deconditioned and overweight. Those are type of people I rarely see. Most everybody has some form of fitness foundation when they're coming in to see us, and then I fine tune that to a point where they now become qualified to serve in whatever job they're seeking to serve. So there you go. Good question. Good morning. In your experience, how long does it take someone who has mostly been doing aerobic steady state, but lots of miles to get faster 3 mile? Would 9 weeks of speed work get that time down? Well, there's nothing wrong with building an aerobic base. I mean, that sounds like that's what you've been doing, but getting good at running slow is getting good at running slowly. So you do need to pick up the pace. My advice is you don't necessarily need to work on sprinting. You need to work on goal pace work. So if you're running a 3 mile right now in, let's say, 27 minutes, that's a 9-minute mile. I've seen guys who run 40, 50 miles. That's what their pace is, 8, 9 minute mile pace for any run that they do. That's just what they're good at doing. So now it's time to, yes, start picking up the pace and doing more goal pace activity. You might want to throw in one long, slow distance run in a week if you want, especially if you've built up to it to be able to handle it. Or if you're tired of running that many miles a week, do not impact stuff. Go swimming, work on a bike, work on a rowing machine, but get that heart rate up real high so you're getting the same cardio value with less impact if you need it. Not everybody can handle the high mileage that you might be able to handle. But yeah, work on that goal pace. We talked about it in depth yesterday. I'm not going to go into it too much, but if you're a 9-minute miler now, shoot for an 8-minute mile for all of your intervals. So that means a quarter miles at 2 minutes, a half miles at 4 minutes, a miles at 8 minutes. Start breaking up your intervals into 10, 15 sets of 400 meters at that pace with a little bit of rest in between, maybe a 100-meter walk before you do the next one. Next thing you know, you're running a 3 mile in 24 minutes. Now, your next goal is a 7-minute mile, trying to get that thing down to 21. Might take a few weeks each time to do that. 9 weeks might be a little bit optimistic. Just depends on how far you want to get it down, what you're currently doing, and how far you want to get it down. I would say it's easy to go from 9 minutes to eight, easy to go from 8 minutes to seven, much harder to go from 7 to 6, and even harder to go sub 6. So each one of those are going to be kind of exponentially greater in the amount of time it takes to get there. So your first few miles permit mile pace. Really bad. Longer. You need to be more patient. Do you recommend doing phase one PST book and then going to talk to a recruiter and then doing phase two before boot camp? Um, that would be good, but I mean, I don't care what books you used. Just don't go to the recruiter failing a PST on day one. Like, be able to crush that PST on day one, right? That will now give you time to be able to not worry about the PST and focus on getting through buds. And hopefully that timeline might be 4, 6 months before you ship out. You have time to prepare for 4 mile time runs and 2 mile swims with fins and get a little stronger for logs and boats and things like that. Um, so yeah, consider that whenever you are or time to prep for getting to and through the training. Don't If you just wanna get 2 buds, that's not hard. Pass the PST, you get 2 buds, but if you actually wanna get through it, you might wanna put a little bit more time in actually focusing on endurance and muscle stamina and a little bit of durability to handle what you're about to handle because it's not easy. Can you go straight to take the Navy SEAL PST, or do they require prerequisite program? Um, well, I mean, you gotta get medically cleared before you take the PST. And you take the PST with your recruiter before you even go to boot camp, right? Now, if you're in the fleet, that's a different story. You know, you're already in the Navy. Now you're trying to transfer over to the Navy. That's another way to do it, but that's a more difficult way. The easier way to get to buds is by a recruiter, go to boot camp, go to buds. But you got to pass PST before and during you go to before you go to buds. Do all your guys hit the same numbers before shipping, or does it depend on the person? It's a range. You know, I'm not a stickler for a particular PST score or how many times you can do a deadlift of 1.5, 2 times your body weight. Not really a stickler for that. I just try to get everybody into the standard of this article right here. If you read this article, you'll see all of the things I'm talking about, from PST scores to 4 mile timed runs. If you're in the Marine Corps, 3 mile timed runs, 5 mile runs for Ranger School, rucking certain distances at a certain pace, lifting, weighted calisthenics. Some of these things that are part of like human performance tests that are out there. you know, some of those events as well. But yeah, check out that article because it's a good one to help you. All right, let's move on. I got another um, video to share. Let's see if you guys can see this. Let me know over there on Instagram if you can see it. Looks like you can from my end. Let's see what we got here. We got a good kick off the wall. Wow, that's a good glide. A little awkward on the pull out. Oh, okay. I think this one's the underwater swim. So double arm pull. See how that little hitch in your double arm pull goes? Not sure why that is happening. You don't need to do that. And I would definitely say your arm recovery needs to be tighter. Like your streamlined body position needs to be a little tighter. Get those arms a little closer to you. See how whenever you're going up like this, like your hands are away from your body. You want them really tight to your body because anything out here is like putting on the brakes when you're swimming, especially underwater, because it's all about, yeah, that double arm pull is just a little freaky. Yeah, I think the problem is you're making a weird transition from the pull into the push, which I understand because it's really two different movements. You're grabbing water, pulling, and pushing, but it needs to be a little more fluid. But that's one stroke. Let's count how many strokes it takes you. Two, I like the glides. The glides are good. I think you lose a little momentum on the recovery. There's three. Yeah, if you can do 25 yards and four strokes, that's solid. Looks like I got four. You got five there. So you probably could have done it in four if you had tried a little harder. Um, that's not bad. Yeah, I give that one to you. But it could be a little cleaner. I bet you could drop a stroke by just working on that recovery of your um, arms whenever you go into that kick position. Let's see. We got any questions over here on Instagram? Looks like, oop, there's one. Um, on my kick, I feel like I could get more distance out of it. Is that a strength issue or technique? Um, you know what? I think what we need to do is let me see you do that again, whether you send a video or you come by locally. And where people get most power from the scissor kick is not the hips. Yes, it starts in the hips, but it's really a whip kick closing your legs from the knees down. Like one leg's going backwards, one leg's going forward. You're pushing water with the bottom of the front leg. You're pushing water with the top of the back leg, and they whip together really hard. That drives you forward more than an open and closing of the hips, um, like you're doing the splits or something. So, which book do you recommend? Which book do you recommend for a beginner? Let me see if I even have one. I got a couple that are beginners. It really kind of depends on your age. Um, all well, nope, that's not it. So I have one called Calisthenics and Cardio. That's a beginner, intermediate, and advanced, but it's all calisthenics. This one right here, it is a beginner phase, a beginner's guide to fitness. 90 days, time to get to work, build some habits. And this is another one for you guys 40 and over. If you haven't been doing anything for the last decade, it's a good place to get started again. And I introduced to you something that will change your life in this one, especially if you've never done it before. And that is my mobility day. Telling you, it is so good. I even added it to my younger guys' um, workout because it's helpful for them with swimming posture, kicking, um, more hip, knee, and ankle mobility. All of those are needed to be a better swimmer. So, in fact, like in this one, there's mobility days. This one, Marine Corps one, there's mobility days. All of the Navy ones got mobility days in it. But immediately following the mobility days are ground proofing skills and treading skills and all of those. You can even add mobility days to your mobility training to your swim workouts, which make a big difference in whether or not you pass or fail treading tests. Let's see. Forgot to mention about how much time to take off intense training when you are sick. I've had a week of sickness and did a leg workout yesterday, but lungs still bothered me a bit when I run. Um, you know what? Every now and then I get sick as well, and I have this special week called the systems check. And sometimes you do it for a week, sometimes you just do it for um, a few days. It just depends. Systems check workout. Here, check this article out. It's called the Perform a Systems Check After Long Bouts with Illness, Injury, and Not Training. It's kind of like my mobility day, but I um, I mix it with instead of 5 minutes of cardio, 5 minutes of stretching and foam rolling. It's kind of like 5 minutes of cardio followed by 5 minutes of upper body exercises. And then I do 5 minutes of cardio and um, I do um, 5 minutes of lower body exercises. So what it's doing there is telling me, okay, my joints are good enough to do these. I'm not sore. I'm not still injured. However, when I do cardio, my lungs hurt. right? And I start coughing. So now you got to get your cardio down to a certain heart rate so you're not going to create a cough out of that bronchitis or whatever you're fighting. In fact, when I wrote this article, it was after a bout of bronchitis and how I kind of took a few days off, but I did it with systems checks and mobility days. So I never really took a day off. I just really pulled back to where anytime I was running or doing some kind of higher intensity cardio, I'd start coughing and that hurt my bronchial tubes. So didn't want to do that. So I kept my heart rate down. I had to keep my heart rate down to like 120, right? Which is, I don't know, it's not that hard. But it was a very low intensity activity. I could still do it. I could still move. And what that did, instead of taking days off or being sick for 7 to 10 days, I'm now being able to go back into my workouts without being sore for 2 days after not doing anything for 7 to 10 days. Does that make sense? So as long as you're able to get something done, it's a really good way to get something done, test out where your limits are before you start feeling worse and you have a relapse or whatever, but it just pulls back a little bit. So check that one out because that has been one of my favorites to share with people. And it doesn't take. It's not very hard to. Not very hard to do, and it at least places that placeholder into your regularly scheduled workout. So one, you don't get out of the habit of exercising at 6 a.m. every day, and now it's hard to wake up at 6 a.m. because you've been sleeping until 9 every day because you've been blowing off your work because you're sick. It's okay, but it just keeps that placeholder in there for you. And two, just makes you feel better, I think, just moving a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit. Let's see. You got a question over here on Instagram. Heard failing an open water swim at Bloods is pretty rare, at least compared to the run. With that in mind, how much does one really need to swim before, assuming your ankles and feet are good to go? That's a good question. I will agree with you. More people fail the run than the swim. Um, but I mean, we swim with fitness every leg day. So what's that? Twice a week, maybe a third time a week with fins, and we swim about a mile. Sometimes a mile and a half with those. So at the end of the week, we've accumulated 2 to 3 miles of swimming with fins, and we do that every week, year round. So I don't really think it's that much. I mean, you're looking at 30 minutes of swimming with fins 3 days a week. I mean, and then most people, instead of failing a test at 85 minutes in first phase for 2 miles, they're swimming in the 70s, low 70s, maybe even sub 70. And they get out of the water, they go clean up, they start snacking, hydrating while everybody else is still behind them. You will have people fail that swim and they get hammered for another 15, 20 minutes while you're sitting there eating an apple and uh, enjoying not having to do extra mud. So I would say it's an aquatic special ops program. You should be good at swimming and be able to swim. But if you suck at running, I would run more than swim with fins. Absolutely. For me, I thought the swims were like a little vacation because nobody was yelling at you. So enjoy it. Get good at it enough to enjoy it versus hate it because your ankles hurt so much because you've neglected swimming. Making good progress with your phase one book as I plan to submit packages to SOAS in February. What PST scores are SOAS guys posting? You know what? I've seen it a pretty decent range. You know, they're all kind of elevated scores. So if you take a look at the standard um, PST, like 9 minute run, 9 minute swim, 80 push ups, 80 sit ups, 15, 20 pull ups. That's pretty standard. Most of the SOAS guys are getting a little bit better than that. Most of them are sub 9 run, Definitely sub 9 swim, some even sub 8 swim. In fact, a couple of our guys were like 750 this week. We did a PST this week. Um, had a few guys sub 9 on the, run as well. Um, and then between 80 and 100 on push-ups and sit-ups and 20 plus on the pull-ups. So, but I will tell you this, it's not all physical fitness testing. I mean, they wanna see a sharp guy come in there who has excelled in whatever you have done, throughout your high school, college career, work career, and you have come back and applied and have really good scores going in. If they're not the best, that doesn't really matter. Overall, it really kind of depends on just what everything else looks like. It's PST is important, but I would say it's probably 25% of what's really important. Every task. Speaking of books, when will that 50 plus be done? I'm running into a little writer's block on that one, and I'm having to redo a lot of pictures. So it's more of a partial writer's block, partial um, uh, logistics of getting the pictures done and uploaded and into the book format. So it's coming. I just don't know when. I think usually my best time to really create a book is that week after Christmas before New Year. Nothing's going on. I'll probably get it all timed out and done then. So we'll see. I do have a 50 plus book in there, but I may take that one off because it doesn't really sell very well and update this one. I don't think I'm going to do a series of 50 plus like I did a series of the 40 plus, um, like 40 plus tactical fitness, 40 plus. That one has a beginner, intermediate, advanced program in four different books. Um, but I may just do one overall beginner, intermediate, advanced, all in one program. So still debating on structure. So, but thanks for asking it and keep asking because that's going to keep me working towards it. Can I give you a link for the beginner's books? Yeah, you go to stewsmithfitness.com and you will see a general fitness link in there on the main page. If you're online with a phone, it'll be a drop down menu for general fitness. If you're on a desktop, it's a horizontal bar that says general fitness. Just click that general fitness link and you'll see all of the beginner general fitness workouts. Let's see. All right. There's some advanced ones in there too, like obstacle course racing things like that. What are your thoughts on one armed push ups and one leg squats? I think they're hard and but they're good to do. Sometimes when I have a messed up shoulder, I'll do more one arm things and if I have a knee that's banged up, I'll do more, unilateral leg lifts and squats like pistols. Um, I don't really coach them, but we do them every now and then, mainly as kind of like a top off to a workout, see if we can do them. We also do stuff like, hanging competitions to see who can hang on the bar the longest. So there's a lot of different things that I don't really write about, but we still do. Um, and it's just because they're fun. I think it's a good idea to mix in some unilateral training as well. What fitness level should someone be at when they start selection specific programs like 12 weeks of buds, Air Force Special Warfare? Is there a baseline that you like candidates to be at before starting? Yeah, both of those are advanced workouts, so I wouldn't do it as a beginner, but I mean, you should be at basic levels of that fitness test that's required, be able to finish it, right? It doesn't have to be passing yet, but it definitely needs to be um, in that intermediate range where you can finish the PST, meaning you can swim 500 yards and run a mile and a half without stopping. Doesn't have to be a perfect stroke. We can teach you the strokes, especially if you send me some videos. Happy to work with you on that. But yeah, I mean, this is an advanced workout. So someone who hasn't done anything in years should not be getting, these spec ops level workouts. In general, for your guys who do train with master swim teams, how quickly do they progress in the water, and how much would you recommend spending with a master swim team? We haven't had many people do master swim teams. Um, I'll be honest with you, masters swimming is harder than our swimming workouts. So if you're able to do a master swim workout, you've probably gotten your level of swimming to a degree that's harder than what we do. I would say, our swim workouts aren't easy, but when you start comparing them to competitive swimmers, um, I mean, we might be at the level of like a 12-year-old competitive swimmer. And even those guys can kick our butts because we swim next to 12-year-old swim teams all the time and they're lapping us and laughing, but we're doing a combat side stroke. They're doing freestyle, um, you know, but they usually do pretty well. The biggest thing for swimmers is they just need more durability and running, just get used to the impact forces of gravity. They need to get in the weight room and lift. So if you're a non-swimming athlete and you go do masters swimming, you're going to get a big dose of swimming that can be helpful, can be very helpful for you. Might learn how to swim better. That's huge. Might get in swimming shape faster. That's huge. So not knocking it, just saying, there's always strengths and weaknesses that come with this journey depending on what you decide to do. If you're a powerlifting football player, you need to run and get out of the weight room and swim more. If you're or bike because you're too big to run, you need to bike or do some more non-impact stuff. If you're an endurance athlete, a runner, a swimmer, whatever, you need to get in the weight room and do the opposite, right? If you're running a lot, go swimming. If you're swimming a lot, go running, right? But not too much because swimmers fall apart whenever they start running. Everybody's got a story, and usually it's tied into their athletic history, and that drives their current strengths and weaknesses. And you need to focus on your weakness. If you're a good swimmer, you don't need to join a master swim team, right? If you're a crappy swimmer, I'd help you. I'm a guy who's training for 18X now, training for Air Force Special Warfare. Been doing 20 sets of 20 25s, followed by a 500-yard cool down. Not bad. It's good. That's like 1,500 yards of swimming. I'm doing it 4 times a week. Should I be aiming for 7 times a week? No, I would say instead of doing 25 25s, advance to 50 50s this next few weeks and keep doing it at 4. When that gets easy, maybe add a day, do it 5 days a week. When that gets easy, add some more distance to your intervals. Maybe instead of doing 20 sets, do 10 sets of 50 50s and 75 75s or 100 hundreds even. You can still keep the distances roughly the same between 1,500 and 2,000, but just increase your interval distances versus if you're doing it 4 days a week, that's pretty good. 5 days probably be a little better. I don't think you need to do 7 days a week. Final question for National Guard SF guys and Air National Guard PJs. How many have tactical jobs during the day to day? Someone told me most are federal law enforcement, SWAT, in addition to firefighters and EMS. Um, that is pretty true. I would say most of them are some form of. tactical athlete already, but I've seen teachers go in, I've seen computer programmers go in, people with, regular 9 to 5 jobs go in. So, seen landscapers and, construction workers, all types. So, I wouldn't get caught up in having to already be a tactical professional in some sense. I definitely think it could be helpful in those jobs, especially if you're thinking about, you're a firefighter EMS and you're thinking about PJ or 18 deltas in Army SF. I mean, that's a logical progression into that world. And if you're doing like a SWAT team and you're the medic for that SWAT team, same. It could be a great career progression for you, and you could apply some of those new skills you learned to your current job. But don't get caught up in it. Especially the SF guys. They are teachers primarily. So you come from a teaching background. That's huge because they're going to go to another country, do a foreign internal defense mission, going to be teaching people to do their job. All right. Looks like I have actually answered all the questions. Okay. Let's see if I got another video going on here. I think I do. I don't think this is my underwater one. Yes, it is. All right. Let me fix this. All right. So I'm going to share this screen with you. Should be able to see it over there on Instagram as well. Okay, let me get it back going again. So he kicks off the wall. Good streamline. I like that streamline. See that streamline? That's much different than the other guy. See how his biceps and shoulders are like almost touching his ears and one hand's on top of the other? That is like a torpedo. Now, the one problem here is he goes too deep. Like he's starting to get deeper, and watch what happens when you go too deep off the wall and do this double arm pull. Now, see this? What's he doing? Like he had to swim up. Look at that. I mean, that's like instead of going horizontal, let's go vertical, right? That's a lot of loss of momentum there. But he picks it up. So top arm, bottom arm, kick. You see what happened? He did there. He had a natural tendency to want to kick that way. See that? His top leg goes forward on the left side. But watch what happens when he's on his right side, meaning his right shoulder is his top arm. His top leg's going backwards. So what's happening is he's actually on his weak side here, doing what was his strong side kick. You see his strong side kick here? He should be on his other side there. And then that would be a perfect CSS because top leg goes forward, bottom leg goes backwards. But watch, he switches sides. Now that bottom leg's going forward, top leg's going backwards. So if he were to do a 500 and let's say switch sides every 25, you'd be doing the same kick every time, which really defeats the purpose of changing sides altogether. So you want to change side. If you want to change side, you want to change your kick. So your top leg always goes forward. Everything else looks pretty good. Looks like he could glide a little better. He's got a good top arm pull, pretty powerful, good push. Just that kick wonky. It's moving him, but once again, once you start swimming long distances, that matters. Having a change in your kick matters, especially you put on a pair of fins, and now you're doing a weak side kick on your strong side because every 10 minutes or so you're going to want to change sides in an hour long swim and just to break it up a little bit. That was a good one, though. Glad we showed that one. Let's see. I think I got another video here I want to show you. We'll just go right into it. So I think this is from a Navy diver candidate. Let's see what we got here. All right. So she is got a pretty good kick off the wall. Let's go back to where it is here. All right. Solid kick off the wall. That's good. Okay. See that breaststroke pull out there? That looked like a jumping jack right there. That is how you do a weak double arm pull, right? If you're doing a double arm pull like you're doing a jumping jack, that's only your shoulders working, right? Your double arm pull should look like you're grabbing water out here, like way out in front of you, pulling straight down and under you in one direction versus this omnidirectional jumping jack pull that really moves you forward about maybe 50% of the whole stroke is moving you forward. The other parts of the stroke are moving you in and out, left and right almost. Um, but anyway, so there's that, and you see it doesn't really produce much of a glide. I mean, she's going right into her stroke after about a 6-inch glide. Um, and then her kick's a little weak. So top, okay, what's going on here? Okay, so top arm. Come on, get those flutter kicks out of there. Head pops up too much. All those flutter kicks need to go away. So we got top arm, bottom arm, kicking. Okay, now she's starting to get it. Just take out those flutter kicks. That would be all right. So top arm, turn to breathe. Head pops up too much. What happens when your head pops up, your feet drop? You can see it. I mean, watch her head drop. Head pops up, feet are dropping. Now she's kind of swimming diagonally versus horizontally. Yeah, we got to work on that kick. So this is actually looking pretty good. You got a good top arm, bottom arm's good, recovery looks good, but that kick is weak, and those flutter kicks are just making you tired, and your turning to breathe is really interfering with your horizontal movement. Notice because every time you come up to breathe, you quit moving horizontally. Like there's no stream flow of this stroke. You're just, instead of turning to breathe, you're popping up to breathe and stopping every time you breathe. But the good news I will tell you is you have the timing down. Top arm, turn to breathe, bottom arm, kick and glide. You just don't have a powerful enough kick to actually produce a long enough glide of 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi pull. So let's work on that. I think I might have one more video. All right, here we go.
Looks good.
Top arm, bottom arm, kick.
Nice.
Yeah, you have a pretty big kick there. No, see, that's a good whip. I think that top arm needs to be a little bigger. See how shallow it is? Right? You need to get that freestyle catch in there and grab some water. So it should look like you're reaching over a barrel way over in front of you, grabbing all that water, pulling it, pushing it behind you versus this
arm recovery,
like really short
arm
stroke. Like it looks like you're pulling water like this versus like this. Right? You got to use all of this
of that top arm
to pull down.
But that's it.
So you go forward a little bit. And I don't see anything wrong with the kick. You're just not holding the glide long enough. Not bad. Let me see. Currently, all right. Currently at a class at the Naval Academy Prep School. All right. Well, you should be listening to your class. Um, I'll see you next year. I'll be on campus a lot. So I coach swimming over at the Naval Academy too. So finish this year strong, and I'll see you next year. Is there a specific brand of jet fins I should buy when preparing for SEAL training? Well, you got a choice. They're called jet fins or rocket fins. I prefer jet fins, but you will be issued probably rocket fins. They look exactly like jet fins, so you might be able to get away with jet fins. I have seen some people get issued jet fins because they have pairs laying around. So I don't know. I would go with jet fins personally and bring them. A lot of people use IST rubber scuba dive fins or Amazon, about $100. Yep, that is true. ISTs are kinda like the Chinese version of the rocket fin, jet fin, less expensive, a little more stiff, I think. I'm not a fan of the ISTs personally compared to the jet fin. Um, that's just my preference. Let's see, morning Stu, do you have any tips for running in the cold? I'm in New Jersey and really don't like running in the cold. Understand, man. You know what? I never really liked it either until we were kicked out of our gym because of COVID and we couldn't go indoors to train. So, gym closed. So we just did all of our training all winter outdoors. We just got used to it. So my advice is give yourself 10 minutes, do some nose breathing. I sometimes, if it's below 30, I'll wear a mask, but I wear it under my nose. So I inhale through my nose, it forces nose breathing. So inhale through my nose and I exhale out my mouth. All of that, like right there, just keeps my face warm while I'm running as well. But bundle up. I mean, sometimes I'll wear two sweatshirts, hood, watch cap. Monday it rained on us. Wasn't that cold, but it's December in Maryland, which you know, wasn't warm. Um, so had a layer on and got wet throughout the whole rain workout. But it could have been worse. Could have been in the 30s and rainy. My advice for you is just be careful when it's sub freezing and it has been raining recently or dew on the ground or whatever, and now you got to deal with ice. There's for me, I don't like running on ice, right? So when I have an opportunity, I'll run on grass versus the uh, sidewalk or trail that we usually run on asphalt. Just because at 6 in the morning, it's pitch black and you don't see the ice and you slip, bust your butt. Now you're hurt, can't run. So in some cases, you may have to opt to go inside and do uh, treadmill run. But I try to limit my treadmill run to, like, really severe days, or opt to run later when it's not below freezing. Sometimes it gets above freezing in the afternoons, but in the morning at 6 a.m., it's below freezing. So try that. Dress warm. Gloves too. Definitely gloves. Sorry for so many questions, but ideally, how much distance should you get off the wall during the kickoff if you're not doing the breaststroke pullout? Good question. Usually there are flags in pools if they do competitions. We try to come up with our feet past the flags without the breaststroke pullout. All right. So with the breaststroke pullout, we try to get past that little red or different colored um, marker in the lane line. Right. So, to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how far that is. Uh, Somewhere between 5 and 10 yards, maybe. So you're basically turning a 25-yard pool into, a 15 to yeah, about a 50-yard swim or it's kickoff. So I would say most people get somewhere between 5 and 10 yards off the wall. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I wear gloves and nose breathe. Um, you may want to do some saline spray in the morning because usually the air is really dry in the winter, and so having dry sinuses can really bother you. So do some saline spray in the morning, saline spray throughout the night. Dry air when the heater's on in the house really can affect your sinuses. Bump up, bump up the moisture a little bit. Maybe have a humidifier in your room that may help. But I find that is very helpful to getting the sting out of the um, out of breathing in the cold. Let's see. What is something you wish you knew before shipping off to buds? Hmm, good question. I don't know. I would say this. I think not that I had, not that I thought I would make it when I got there. You know what I mean? I wasn't overconfident. Like I knew there was a lot of work in front of me, but I think prior to getting to training, I worried about way too much stuff. And instead of just like really kind of focusing on my weaknesses more than really like pumping up my strengths more. Um, Probably, I wish I would have known that the things that I was sweating and keeping me up at night really weren't issues after the first week of buds. After the first week of buds, it was like, okay, I'm here. I got this. I understand the way things are going. I think it was the fear of the unknown of like, where am I going to be living? When do I wake up? Where do I go to work out? All these things, and then within a week, it feels like you've been there for a month. And everything just moves very logically. And, you know, a big stressor was actually taken off of me um, versus dealing with kind of like the anxiety of starting SEAL training versus actually being in it. It was easier being in it than thinking about being in it, if that makes any sense. All right. So, folks, I am going to shut it down over here on Instagram because yesterday they limit this to about an hour, and I think I'm almost there at that hour. In fact, I think it's shutting down already. So I'm going to say bye to folks at Instagram, finish up here at YouTube channel, and we'll call it a day um, for this one, and we'll do it again next week. So remember, 9:30 Monday and Tuesday a.m. East Coast time. I'm doing live Q&As, and the Tuesday one's more CSS related. Let's see. Also, check out stewsmithfitness.com. Use the coupon code live15 and save 15%. Okay, one more question looks like. All right, so one more question looks like for the pullout, my swim coach has been telling me to point my toes off the wall behind me to keep a tight streamline. That is correct. If you're swimming like this, right, that's some drag. You got to flatten out those feet. So ankle mobility is the key. You don't want to tighten up too much to where you start getting calf cramps doing it, but you want to relax your ankles so they actually go flat. Like you should have like a near ballerina point. There should be like 0 degrees from your shin to your foot. Like if you're swimming like this and you got no foot, ankle mobility, your ankles are more like 90, 45 degrees, you should be able to point your toe and be 0 degrees. You're going to be very glad you have that kind of mobility when you start swimming with fins because those fins will torque on those ankles. If they're tight, they're going to give you ankle mobility. I promise you. Uh, So if you take a look at that mobility article that I posted earlier, you'll see a seated position where I sit on my shins and the top of my feet. My butt is on my heels. That is a great way to start building ankle mobility so you can flatten out your feet whenever you're gliding in the streamline and be ready for fins as well. Um, And you say Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you for all you do. Yes, in fact, I just realized Christmas is Monday next week, so I will not be doing a Monday um, video show. We'll probably bump it over to maybe do. We'll definitely do a Tuesday. We'll see if I can make it fit for another day next week. Otherwise, we may just do one next week. May not be a bad idea. I got to write that book anyway. So, all right, folks, I will see you guys next week. Merry Christmas to you guys. And I won't be here Monday, but I'll be here Tuesday next week. Have a good one. We'll see you later.